Welcome back, everyone, to the late night review. And tonight I'm really happy to do another Bruce Lee documentary review. And this, I don't know. I'm not sure, but this one might be my very favorite Bruce Lee documentary. And I don't think I seen it when I was a kid or younger because I would have remembered it, I'm sure, if I did. And if I did, it must have been bits and pieces. But it's called Bruce Lee Death by Misadventure. And this is possibly my favorite along with Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey by John Little, and then of course Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon. Those three are probably my favorites, and it's hard to choose. I keep going back and forth. If you want to see a documentary that's primarily focused on his martial arts, and then the story of Game of Death, and how he progressed in the martial arts, then it's Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey. Or Bruce Lee, his Jeet Kune Do documentary. Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. I think it's specifically called Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. If you want to see Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon, um, if you want to see something that's focused on his martial arts, but also his film career and then how he died and then the curse and all that, then Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon, great documentary. If you want to watch a documentary that kind of gives you a little bit of everything, then I would say Bruce Lee, Tale of the Dragon. It kind of goes through the whole spectrum. But I tell you, this one, Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure, it might be my favorite. I mean, I can't really judge right now. I don't know, maybe one day I'll do a ranking of Bruce Lee documentaries, but yeah, Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure is, I'll just put it this way, it's either my favorite or right up there with Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey, Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon. These are really, the thing I like about Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon too, is it talks about him getting challenged on the set of Enter the Dragon. And they do interviews with people who knew him, and Bruce Lee would be challenged, and then he would knock the guy out and then start filming again. And then Bob Wall saw him work over a guy that tried to challenge him and fought with him. So Bruce Lee, Curse of the Dragon, great documentary. This one, Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure, it covers a lot of everything, but it focuses a lot on how he died and different people's theories on how he died. So that brings a really, I would say, interesting, intriguing, and fascinating, dare I say, mysterious element to this documentary. You know, myself, I still think that he probably passed away because of some type of ingredient in the uh, medication that he was given for his headache. I still think that's probably, along with all the stress, probably, and the stress he put on his body, and then mentally making his films. I think all of that kind of combined with that medication that he was given for his headache, and then he fell asleep, didn't get up. I do think that's probably why he died. In this documentary, they put forth different theories. Doesn't mean I agree with them. I still think he probably had a reaction to, I think there's a small percentage of the population, and they might have even banned that medication that he was given when he had a headache and went to sleep. They might have banned that medication because I do think it's lethal for a small portion of the population. There was a special on TV that talked about that medication possibly causing death in a small portion of the population. So I think it had to do probably with the medication coupled with the stress that he was going through at that time. But this gives you different theories, and you can look at it, make your own decision. But it's fascinating. It really is, and it's a good documentary. It talks about the martial arts, of course, his journey in the martial arts, and then how he got into film, and then probably the second half of the film and throughout, but probably the end and then the second half of the film, it focuses on his death, and it's fascinating, it's interesting, gives you different theories, but it interviews his students in here like other documentaries do. But it has an interview with Jesse Glover, his first student, and in the United States, and then Ed Hart, and they talk about the time that Bruce Lee And I was born, myself, I was born in Renton, Washington. I don't live there anymore, but it's right next to Seattle. So when they go to Seattle and show different places where he was at, have a lot of nostalgia for that, because I grew up in that general area. So they talk about the time, even though it was years before I was born. I was born in 77, a few years after his death. But yeah, I was born in Renton and grew up in that area, kind of the Seattle area. But they talk about the time that he was challenged by a karate martial artist. I think his name was Yoichi Nakashi, I believe his name was, and he was a second degree black belt in karate and judo, I think. But anyway, he challenged Bruce Lee, and he kept, kind of pestering him, challenging him, and Bruce Lee said, "Okay, let's go. We'll fight at the school." And I believe Jesse Glover suggested that they fight at the YMCA in Seattle because they might get in trouble fighting at the school. And then I think Ed Hart was the timekeeper and Jesse Glover was the referee, and they fought at the YMCA in Seattle. I've been there a long, long time ago, but and it didn't last too long. The guy tried to kick Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee parried the kick and then punched him, and then he started straight punching him, backed him up, I think, into this wall, and he was just hammering the guy. And the guy tried to defend himself. His arms were kind of wailing. That's what I think I heard Ed Hart say, one of Bruce Lee's students. And then Jesse Glover, like I said, he was Bruce Lee's first student, I think, when he came here to Washington State. But anyway, he was working over the karate judo practitioner guy and hitting him with straight punches, and then knocked him down, and then I think he kicked him, and then the guy flipped over onto his back and he was knocked out. And that challenge match was seen by a lot of people, and that took place at the YMCA in Seattle. Bruce Lee was just such an effective martial artist, and then of course he only got better and then developed his martial arts and Jeet Kune Do to such a magnificent degree. He got better and better and better. And this is really a good documentary. Like I said earlier, if you're focused on the martial arts primarily and Bruce Lee, what he taught, then I would say Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey, and then also Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do would be the documentaries for you to focus on that. But gosh, don't miss this one. Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure. Just fascinating documentary. It talks about a lot of the stuff that you would see in other documentaries about Bruce Lee. I really like the way it's done, but it focuses quite a bit on different theories on how he died, and including interviews with doctors who actually were there and who treated him. According to this documentary, these were some of the doctors who treated him previously, and then who even dealt with his body when he passed away. And it's fascinating. It might be my favorite documentary of Bruce Lee. It depends on what mood I'm in. If I'm kind of in the mood to, just look at the evidence and then just think about what really happened, and then of course get the biography of Bruce Lee and other things too, but then a little mystery and wonder what happened, then probably this documentary, Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure, would probably be the one I would watch. But if I'm more in a martial arts oriented mood, then it would be Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, or John Little's great documentary, Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey. This one, though, don't miss it, especially if you're a Bruce Lee fan. This is such a good one, Death by Misadventure, Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure. It is a documentary that just kept me glued to it. Some of the others did too. I really like the way it's done. It has an atmosphere about it, along with a couple of the others that I like. Documentaries that interview people that actually knew him and trained with him and worked out with him. Those are my favorites. And there's plenty of documentaries out there where they interview people who were inspired by him, and that's cool. I'm someone who was inspired by him. I like to hear those stories. But my favorites are the ones that when they interview people who knew him and who trained with him and who learned firsthand from him. I love those. I really like those. And then of course, John Little anything he's doing about Bruce Lee is fascinating because he's done the research and you can pretty much take it to the bank. You're getting something that's pretty darn factual. And so I like that. And this is a great documentary. And I think that it might be my favorite now that I think of it. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll do a ranking of the Bruce Lee documentaries. Because I have to sit down and just put that list together and maybe do that one day. But yeah, this is awesome. Bruce Lee, Death by Misadventure. I highly recommend it. It's fascinating, and they also include interviews with people that he knew and who was with, and family, of course. They have an interview with Brandon Lee and talk about how he passed away, how he died too, being shot, making the crow. They do talk about that. And that's fascinating as well. I think it's at the very end of this documentary, right after they talk about how Bruce Lee died, and people giving different theories, and then some of the doctors in what they thought too happened to him. Very fascinating. I highly recommend this documentary. It's a good one. Very, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This has been the Late Night Review. Please hit that thumbs up button and then like and subscribe. It helps me and inspires me to keep making these videos. So I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. Share this video, hype it up, pump it up, and have a good night, everybody. This has been the Late Night Review.